The Google Toolbar is a free and small download available directly from Google's website. So to locate this toolbar, we'll simply click down here on Services and Tools, and we'll scroll down to the bottom here, and then we'll select the Google Toolbar. Then all you have to do is select your language, and then we'll click down here on Download Google Toolbar. Now of course you can open it directly from here or save it to your hard drive. Now of course I'd recommend that you do save it to your hard drive. Of course the main reason is at that point you can always scan it with your virus program, which is always a good idea. So what we'll do is we'll just drop back out here to our desktop. Now this is a pretty small program, it's less than 500k, so if you do need to reinstall it at any time, I would recommend you go back to Google and download it again just to make sure you've always got the latest file. Alright, so we'll double click on it and we'll start up the setup. Now of course the first thing we have to do is agree with the license terms, so you can read these of course at your own leisure. I'll just click on agree, and now we have to choose whether we want to enable the advanced features of the Google Toolbar or disable them. Now these advanced features do actually send some information back to Google, and this is just about the pages that you have requested. It doesn't tell Google your name or address or anything like that, just some anonymous information which helps Google to determine the page rank feature of Google. So I'll choose to enable the advanced features here, and I'll click on next. Now we need to choose which Google site we want to have as our default Google page. Now the default here is google.com. We can elect to make Google our default search engine, which of course I prefer it to be. And what we have to do to ensure that the Google Toolbar installs properly is we will need to close all of our Internet Explorer windows. So we can have Internet Explorer windows closed automatically if we just leave this box here, which is the default. So I'll leave that and I'll just choose next. Now we do get a message here telling us that the pop-up blocker in the Google Toolbar will work best if we turn off Internet Explorer's script error settings. So I'm just going to choose yes to disable them. Okay, and we're done. It's pretty quick. Our Internet Explorer window is closed and then Internet Explorer reopened automatically, and now we can see the Google Toolbar up here in all its glory. Okay, the first thing we have over here on the left hand side is a Google drop-down box which contains links to things like the Google homepage, some additional links from Google. This is for things like the Google Images, Google Groups, and so on and so forth. And then also we can see options for our configuration settings. We can clear our search history, and then of course we have some help information as well. Now one thing I should probably point out on this help menu here, we could also uninstall the Google Toolbar if we don't want to use it anymore. And of course we have links to our privacy information, and of course we can contact Google directly from here. Alright, the next thing we have over here is a Google search bar. And here we could simply enter in a search like we would from the standard Google homepage, and then click on Search Web, and away goes your search using the search default that you specified when you set up the toolbar. Of course, when we type something in over here and click Search Web, yes, it will actually go out and search the web using a standard Google search. However, if we come over here and click this drop-down box, we could also have our search against the current site. Now that would be useful if we happen to be, say, in Microsoft.com here at the moment. We could also use the I'm feeling lucky search, and of course we could also search within Google Images, Groups, and so on and so forth. The next thing we have over here is the Google News icon. Now this takes us straight to the Google News site where you can get up-to-date news, weather and sports information and things like that. The next thing we have over here is the page rank feature of Google. Now this will only be available if you did select to enable the advanced features of the toolbar on installation. This simply displays the importance of the web page according to Google. Now the next thing we have here is the pop-up blocker, probably the best feature of the Google Toolbar. If there's one thing I hate about the way the web's changed in the last few years, it's the amount of pop-up windows that you get when surfing the web. Fortunately, this Google Toolbar pop-up blocker is very good. It blocks most pop-ups that you're likely to get. The biggest thing to realize with Google's pop-up blocker is that it only blocks involuntary pop-ups. That means pop-ups that you didn't ask for. If you voluntarily request a page and you want to allow any pop-ups to be displayed, then you can either hold down Control or Shift on your keyboard when you click a link, and it will allow pop-up windows to occur for that page only. Now also, some pop-ups that are generated from your local machine, in the case of utilities like Casa, which generates its own pop-up advertisements, the Google pop-up blocker won't stop those. Now clicking on the pop-up icon will toggle the pop-up feature on or off. Now the default setting is of course on. Now on this icon you can also get a visual clue as to how many pop-up windows that have been blocked. We can see that currently 0 have been blocked because we've just installed it. Now you'll also get a visual change in your mouse pointer when a pop-up is blocked. Your mouse pointer will change to a Batman style kapow. Hey, maybe I'm showing my age here, referring to the old B-grade Batman and Robin a few years ago, but anyway, that's what it looks like to me. Now the next thing we have here is the autofill icon, which is currently greyed out, and it will only be visible when we complete the autofill options, which we'll show you how to do in a moment. The next thing we have here is the web blog icon, and this enables you to create a blog that points to the current page. Now blogging is a rather interesting pastime, kind of like an online journal. Now if you don't have a blog of your own, clicking on this icon will take you away to a place where you can create your own blog. Now next here we have the options icon where you can configure your toolbar settings. And finally over here we have the ability to highlight items that we search for on the current page. So let's say we performed a search for Mickey Mouse. What this would do is highlight every occurrence of the words Mickey Mouse on the page to make it easy to find. Alright, so let's click on options. And here you can see we have a great deal of these boxes already selected by default. These boxes just simply relate to whether we see the option on the toolbar that you saw a moment ago. Now at the top here you can see we can change the default search engine from google.com to a different country-based Google site if we like. We could also choose to open a new Internet Explorer window every time that we perform a search. Now down here in the middle we can see the PageRank option, which of course is selected by default as we did enable the advanced features of Google. But if you decide you no longer wish to participate in this anonymous collection of data for Google's PageRank feature, then you could simply uncheck this box to turn it off. Now if you did happen to change a few of these and you made a few mistakes and you weren't sure what items were selected by default, you can come down here and select the Restore Defaults button to reset everything back to how it was originally. Now on the More tab we have quite a few options here, most of which are self-explanatory. And of course these are things just like whether we want additional web buttons, whether we want extra search buttons, and so on and so forth. Now finally on the Autofill tab, this is where we can enter in our personal details like our name and address, and if you're feeling quite game you can add in some credit card information. Now if you have this filled in, then when you're on a site that requires you to fill in all of these details, you can then use the autofill icon that we talked about a moment ago to automatically fill in the required fields. Now it doesn't always fill in everything, but it certainly does save you a great deal of typing. Well, there you have it, the Google Toolbar. Now even if you only use it for the pop-up blocker, it's well worth taking the time to have a look at some of the benefits that it provides.